Pokemon Masters, Birdkeeper Toby here, and finally, the Sinnoh region. Back when I started this channel, I did a whole playlist of my top 10 favorite Pokemon of every region. It's been a lot of fun to do. Sure, and maybe pretty soon I should start doing my least favorite of every region. Maybe I can add that into the mix. I don't know. And at the time, if you'd asked me, I'd probably have said my favorite games were Heart Gold and Soul Silver. But I want to redact that statement, because 5 years later, I'm pretty sure my favorite Pokemon game is Pokemon Platinum. In that time span, the 5-year period, I think I've played Platinum another 2 to 3 times, and man, I love it. I love the region, I love going through, and look, Diamond and Pearl, they're far too slow. There were a lot of issues with the pacing of Diamond and Pearl, and some of the sprites look so unalive. Like, I've talked about it before on the channel, just look at Gliscor. Gliscor's sprite from Diamond and Pearl looks so, vacant in the eyes compared to its expressive sprite in Platinum. But Platinum as a game offers a lot. I really like it, and I'm really looking forward to future Diamond and Pearl remakes, which I think are almost definitely going to happen. And choosing a top 10 list for this, I mean, it was absolutely impossible. Going through all of the Sinnoh Pokemon and going, wow, I like that one, I like that one, I like that one, I like that one. Sinnoh, in my opinion, has some of the best Pokemon that are out there. I love the evolutions of older Pokemon, I love the new Pokemon, it's hard to choose. So this is just my top 10 list, and of course I want to hear yours in the comments. What are your top 10 favorite Sinnoh Pokemon? And of course after this, we'll move on to Unova. So I'm just gonna start off, here we go, number 10, let's just be so basic, Garchomp. Who doesn't love a good Garchomp? Garchomp, when I think about like all my time as a Pokemon trainer, traveling through the games, I remember the first time I played Diamond and Pearl and seeing Cynthia's Garchomp. Cynthia had some powerful Pokemon, but Cynthia and Garchomp, I mean, they really are the unstoppable duo. Garchomp was terrifying, and the only place to catch Gible in the game is really out of the way, underneath Cycling Road. Unless you know Gible's there, you probably don't stop to think to look there, making Garchomp really an absolute prize. So in Diamond and Pearl, I never used one, but in my first ever run through of Pokemon Platinum, I made sure to stop off, get hold of a Gible, evolve it quickly into a Gabite, and train with it. And I just have very strong memories of being younger, when Pokemon Platinum had come out, and I would imagine I would really see my team, when I was in battle with the NPCs, in my gym battles, en route, in the champion battle against Cynthia, I could imagine my Pokemon using those moves, and I could just really remember thinking and visualizing Garchomp running along the battlefield with its massive claw using Dragon Claw on its opponents. And then of course later on, adapting that into Dragon Rush, a move that is just synonymous with Garchomp. And ultimately it came down to a battle at the end of Platinum, my Garchomp versus Cynthia's Garchomp. And my Garchomp made a pretty good tag team with the Togekiss that had hatched from the Togepi egg that Cynthia gives you in that game, so I got a lot of fond memories of it. Plus, at the end of Pokemon Black 2, I got gifted a shiny Gible, which I evolved into a Garchomp, and it had an Adamant nature, which is good for competitive, because people like Adamant is a physical attack thing, Garchomp is a physical attacker. And while shiny Garchomp is pretty much indistinguishable from regular Garchomp, shiny Mega Garchomp is beautiful. That's why I like Garchomp a lot. I just think it's a fantastic Pokemon. I'm sorry to be so basic and be like, I like the pseudo-legendaries, but I like the pseudo-legendary. Number 9, again, super basic. I like the cool Pokemon because they're cool. Darkrai. Isn't Darkrai wicked? I swear I'm not trying to make a thing of this, but just showing off cool Pokemon card art is cool. Darkrai and Cresselia are a very interesting legendary duo, with Darkrai being a mythical and Cresselia not. But unlike other mythical Pokemon, Darkrai is really heavily talked about within the world of the original base Sinnoh games. Like, you hear NPCs talking about Darkrai, and I think that adds a level of intrigue. In previous games, like Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, Jirachi and Deoxys are barely mentioned, if at all, by NPCs. The only way you'd know they would exist is if you'd seen them in outside material, but Darkrai is talked about, much like Arceus. Shaman and Manaphy, not so much. But Darkrai, the people of Sinnoh and the people of Canalive, they fear Darkrai. And Darkrai became a real Pokemon that I really liked when Team Snooze started. For those of you who don't know Team Snooze, you know Team Snooze. Team Snooze is our evil team, like Team Rocket. You know, we're trying for world domination, minimum effort. We'll get around to it after a nap. And how could Darkrai not be the legendary Pokemon that Team Snooze is after? I also did a really fun video involving Darkrai and Nightmare Pokemon that I posted 2 Halloweens ago. I like Darkrai. I think it's really cool, and its connection to Team Snooze is the Team Snooze legendary means it had to be on this list. I gotta say, if we do see Diamond and Pearl remix, I kind of hope they don't do some kind of Darkrai Gigantamax form. Personally, I think Darkrai, as cool as it is, I don't think you could improve upon the design, and I do think it would maybe make it worse. Although I have tried with a Darkrai, but anyway, that's besides the point. Number 8, speaking of mythical Pokemon, I like it a little bit more than Darkrai right now, is Shaymin. And look, not the Sky form. Here's the thing, my lovely, wonderful, amazing girlfriend is called The Last Shaymin. That's her Twitter handle, that's her Instagram handle, that's where you can find her work. Please go and support her. She's lovely, and her favourite Pokemon is Shaymin Skyform. I really don't like the Skyform. Sorry, I might not have a girlfriend after this video is posted, but I just think it looks a bit rubbish, and also it's like, is it a reindeer? Is it a dog? It's totally a reindeer. Those are not ears, they're antlers. Come on, people, it's snowy, like a Rudolph. It doesn't matter. You can all argue about that in the comments, but the regular form of Shaymin is cute. I think the regular form of Shaymin as a mythical Pokemon just really, really works. I think the whole thing about there being a stone that activates a mysterious path and Professor Oak is there, and then you get to encounter Shaymin, I do feel like its story could have been a lot better, and that's why I did that whole video about exactly that topic. It definitely should have been tied in with Falroma Town. I don't get what it was doing on the other side of the map. But I do think that regular Shaymin is an absolutely adorable, adorable mythical, and is up there with my top 10 favourite mythicals of all time, I'm pretty sure. And you know, the fact that Shaymin is my girlfriend's favourite Pokemon, yeah, kind of makes me like it a little bit more. 7, and this kind of ties into how I did the Hoenn video. It's a tie between Dialga and Giratina. I know, not Dialga and Palkia. Look, Diamond was the one that I played first, it's the one that I played through, and in the post-game of Sinnoh, the 2 big legendaries that you face off against are Dialga and then Giratina later. Had it been Pearl, it would have been Palkia and then Giratina later. And I kind of talked about this in the Hoenn video where I mentioned that, like, what I remember about playing Sapphire nostalgically was getting Kyogre in the main game and then Rayquaza in the post game. And similarly, I remember getting hold of Dialga in the main game and Giratina in the post game. Plus, Giratina's alternate form in Platinum is also really, really cool. So yeah, I just kind of always liked those 2 pretty equally, and Palkia a little bit less because I'm just a little bit less nostalgically attached to it. That's pretty much it, by the way. I just think they look cool. They're awesome legends. Delving into the world of godly Pokemon is pretty awesome. So yeah, they're kind of tied there. Let's move on to one that maybe I have more feelings about, other than just, you know, they're cool. Like number 6, Rotom. And how is this Pokemon so low on the list? Oh man, there's so many good Pokemon in Sinnoh. Rotom is wicked. First of all, I think Game Boy Luke has the best mascot and branding out of any Pokemon YouTuber ever. Plus, Rotom, I've done so many theories about Rotom, one actually with Luke right back when I started the channel, because there's just so much to talk about when it comes to Rotom. Is Shuppet a Rotom wearing a Reaper cloth? Is a Voltorb a Rotom that got stuck in a Pokeball? Was it once a legendary Pokemon? When you battle it, it engages you with legendary Pokemon music in the old chateau. It's a weird one-of Pokemon that you can only get one of in Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, even though it's not a legendary. It gets all of these new forms in Platinum. Sharon is interested in it. We've got the Rotom Dex and the Rotom Phone and the Rotom Bike. Rotom is great. There is just no world where Rotom didn't make this list. Ghost Electric is a fantastically interesting type, and the idea of a plasma-based Pokemon, it's awesome. I love Rotom. There's so many more theories out there about it, and so many more that I'm going to work on down the line. And to be honest, I think if Pikachu wasn't the mascot of the franchise, Rotom very possibly could be. It's definitely a top contender for sure. Number 5, Munchlax. For many of you, if you've been watching the channel for a little while, you probably think that Snorlax is my favorite Pokemon. It's definitely not anymore, and that's kind of what these lists are about. Just saying, hey, my tastes have changed, and I actually think I prefer Munchlax to Snorlax. For one, I've still never caught the 1% Munchlax in a honey tree in Sinnoh, but two, I love the design. Munchlax was revealed at a time where Generation 4 wasn't quite out yet. Generation 3 was still airing on TV with the Battle Frontier. May had a Munchlax. Munchlax was showing up in Pokemon Gale of Darkness, and just generally speaking, it's a really exciting Pokemon and an important part of Pokemon's history. And as a Team Snooze, like anyone recruiting a Team Snooze grunt, you all get Munchlaxes just to start off with. You know, there's other Team Snooze starters, Hoo-Hoo, Munna, Drowsy, they're all great, but Munchlax is the one that every Team Snooze grunt gets on their team if they want it. I absolutely adore Munchlax. I think it's probably the best baby Pokemon. I love it. And again, I just can't believe it's so low on the list. It's as low as number 5, and that's just because the top 5 are so good. Starting with number 4, a tied spot. Tied really between, I guess, like 6 Pokemon. The Piplup line and the Chimchar line. I've said it before and I'll say it again, Sinnoh has the best starters. Look, Johto starters are great, I love them. I'm very nostalgic for Hoenn starters. Who doesn't like the Kanto starters? They're wonderful. Gen 5, sorry guys. Gen 6, also not fast. Gen 7s were good, Gen 8s were fine as well. But Generation 4 had perfect starters. It is genuinely hard for me to pick between the 3, and I know you're thinking, where is Torterra? I'll get there. I can happily choose any 3 of the Sinnoh starters and be totally happy with the run through. I've played through the Sinnoh games a number of times with these starters. I've played through other games with these starters and I just never get bored of them. I never get tired of them. I think they're fascinating. Firefighting is a great offensive option. There's not many fire Pokemon in the Sinnoh region, so that's great. Having a water steel type is great and defensive. It's wonderful. The designs of these Pokemon are just perfect. They're so well tied into the region as well. Infernape is like a monk and Empoleon is an emperor. I just think these Pokemon are incredible. They're cool because they're cool. And well done the people working on in Game Freak at that time. You produced a roster of starters that genuinely I think are the absolute best. And in fact, number 3, Torterra only beats them by a little bit. Look, I'm nostalgic for Turtwig. My first Diamond run through, I used Turtwig. My first Platinum run through, I used Turtwig. Turtwig is, I think, maybe currently my favorite starter, if it's not Mudkip. Torterra is a cool Pokemon. A turtle with the earth on its back, carrying around an ecosystem. Its appearance in Detective Pikachu, pretty cool as well. I could absolutely see all 3 of the starters getting Gigantamax forms in the Diamond and Pearl remakes that I'm just like, oh yeah, the assumed Diamond and Pearl remakes, because I really do think they're going to happen. Sorry to sound like a broken record. I think Turtwig also does something that, because it's a turtle, and it's the second turtle starting Pokemon right after Squirtle, it kind of invokes nostalgia, but is a completely new twist on it at the same time, and I think that's just why I really like it. Number 2, Manaphy. I love the whole thing about Manaphy. The Manaphy egg, it's so different to the other eggs of the Pokemon world. The fact that you can only get 1 per copy of Pokemon Ranger, I've talked about it on the channel a million times. This whole idea that every copy of Pokemon Ranger, every time you play it and you get a Manaphy egg, that's that one gone. There are as many Manaphy eggs as there are copies of the original Pokemon Ranger game. Once you play through, it doesn't matter if you reset your save file, you still, without the help of like outside hacks and stuff, you can't get more Manaphy eggs. As a mythical Pokemon, transferring it from a side game, it's only gettable through the side game. I wish we saw more of this in modern day Pokemon. You know, like Mystery Dungeon DX comes out, and at the end of it, if you finish it, you get a special kind of Pokemon, a mythical, that you can then transfer to Sword and Shield. I think stuff like that is really, really cool. Manaphy as a design is really interesting. The fact that you can breed it and get Fione is really, really interesting. I love it. When I think about rare Pokemon and the collection of rare Pokemon, because of that whole stuff with Pokemon Ranger, I think of Manaphy. I do kind of hate the movie and the way Manaphy's portrayed in the movie, but aside from that, I think Manaphy is awesome. And it kind of fits in with the Sinnoh region. I can really see a Manaphy kind of jumping around in the oceans outside of like Canalife City, for example. Yeah, Manaphy's pretty good, but it's certainly not number 1. Number 1 for me by possibly a really long shot, even though everything in Sinnoh is like top tier, and I don't know if I'm just like nostalgia blind to it. Sinnoh wasn't my first region, I started with Generation 1, but Gliscor. As I mentioned earlier, in Pokemon Platinum, Gliscor goes from a bottom tier Pokemon because of the sprite design to top tier, because they bring it to life. But mostly the reason I love this Pokemon is because last year I did a run through of Pokemon Platinum and I tried out Gliscor. I'd never used it before, and I just thought this is awesome. It flies, it's got the flying moves, it's flying ground type is such a cool combo. It using Earthquake and Roost, and it can use Toxic Heal and Toxic Orb in competitive battles with Sword Dance. You can make a Gliscor so cool. Gliscor is not even a Pokemon I had thought about before this run through. Not really, it was a forgettable Pokemon for me. But one run through with a Gliscor and I was like, yeah, this Pokemon is awesome. This is what I used to take on Cynthia's Garchomp. And then actually, beyond that, I then transferred it to Black 2 to get a second shiny Gible from the Black Tower. And yeah, I did the whole thing, the whole tower. I did it with Gliscor, taking it all the way up to level, I think, 97. I think it's now level 100. It's very rare that I'll see an adventure Pokemon through to level 100, and Gliscor, that was one. Absolutely one of my favorite Pokemon right now. Yeah, Gliscor is awesome. Also, quick honorable mention, because I forgot to do it. Kind of honorable mention to Barrel. I did a run through once upon a time where I did the whole of Pokemon Platinum just with a Barrel, and it was called Miyamoto, and it was the destroyer of the worlds. We even had merch at one time. A Godzilla-sized level 90-something Barrel taking on Cynthia. It was pretty cool. Anyway, that's just my top 10 list of all my Sinnoh Pokemon, all my favorites. What are yours, of course? Please let me know in the comments. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Do check out some of the other regions I've done now. You know, we're 4 in, there's Kanto, Johto, and it's all there. Unova is on the way. Should I do a bottom 10 list, you know, and just kind of upset a bunch of people? What do you think? Let me know, of course, in the comments. And with that being said, soar high, Pokemon Masters.
This is Ash Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeeper Toby. That makes you a Pokemon Master!
And a massive thank you to those of you supporting me on Patreon, including the big patrons of the month, the Nerd Therapist and Gunnar Clovis. Thank you.